Hello, dear friends. This is Cardiac Radio at 11 p.m., nourishing our souls with one more Hail Christ. We are here to study, to reflect, to reflect and to empower ourselves. As we gather together, and actually this is, let me just change here the post. It's actually chapter... Hold on a second. The number is changed. We're gonna do it together, okay? Chapter 9. And actually the title is quite different. So hold on. I'm doing this right now. Dreams and afflictions. Yes. This is Hail Christ here in another chapter. Dreams and afflictions. Exactly. This is exactly what we're studying today together. The book Hail Christ, for those who don't know, you can acquire at Amazon in the Kindle version. You can. You have the hard copy or the Kindle version. It's now at a time when you can't go to stores, or you shouldn't go to stores. You can buy it online. So it is important for us to note that this book was psychographed by the medium Chico Xavier, and the spirit author is Emmanuel. Emmanuel is also a character in this book. Let's not forget that Emmanuel writes this book titling it Hail Christ, and the subtitle is Historic Episodes of Christianity in the 3rd Century, a novel dictated by the Spirit Emmanuel. When we begin this book, Emmanuel writes to us, and he says that no matter how raging the storm, Christ calms it. No matter how deep the darkness, Christ illuminates it. No matter how badly power is abused, Christ reigns. The Lord's work, however, needs resources to implement peace. It needs fuel to spread the light. It needs willingness to lead to the good. The divine idea needs human hands. We need human hands to make this happen. And you're welcome to join us here at Cardiac Radio as we are revisiting where we have stopped. We have been studying about the life of Quintus Varus as he reincarnates to rescue his son, Tassianus. And he had merits to go to higher planes, but he decided to stay here to help Tassianus. Of course, he's not gonna help only Tassianus. His life was very problematic. Though Roman patrician, he embraced Christianity, and it wasn't accepted. On the contrary, it was persecuted. And the beauty is that Quintus Varus understands it all, so he's not afraid. His wife Cynthia doesn't understand or like his choice. She would rather prefer that he dedicates himself, just like everybody else, to the cult of the gods, worshipping many gods, and making material life happen. But he doesn't. He works. He has a boss named Opilio, and Opilius is the cousin of his wife Cynthia. They have, Quintus Varus and Cynthia, they have a baby named Tassianus. When he's almost like a year or so old, Quintus Varus finds out that he was cheated by his wife, that she's having an affair with his boss, who is her cousin. He, because of his Christian heart, he decides not to create a scandal, not to fight, not to avenge, not to create any more problems. He thinks of his son, of his wife, respects her choice. He out of dignity, talks to his boss and finds another way of sustaining his family. When he goes sailing, he thinks that he's in a new professional endeavor, but it's not. Actually, it was a plot created by the very man who used to be his boss and wants to get married to Cynthia, his wife. But the man who was in charge of murdering Quintus Varus, Flavius Subrius, does not kill Quintus Varus. Kills another man, a Christian man named Corvinus, who was 70 years old and who was like a mentor to Quintus Varus. Quintus Varus now takes his role in the Christian community of Lyon. So traveling from Rome to Lyon, almost like 1,000 kilometers of distance, he travels and remains there in the city of Lyon. For 20 years, he is there, Quintus Varus, now as Brother Corvinus, totally dedicated to Christianity, helping people around. But remember, the Christian groups at the time were like a hospital. They were like a shelter for homeless. They were a hospital for the sick. They were daycare for children. They were school for the children of the poor. So the Christian communities had so many functions, so many roles at that time. So working there, you would really be taking care of so many people that were underprivileged, which was actually majority of people. We're talking about a time in which hospitals didn't exist. Schools were just few, and only for those who were very, very wealthy and famous and influential. People didn't have schools. So Christianity was making a huge difference in the world. Brother Corvinus was in that pathway. He was the master of so many kids. He was the educator of his community, but he was also a healing medium. Brother Corvinus lived like that for 20 years, but he always had his son in his heart. His son Tassianus moved to Lyon. Once he's in Lyon, the plague comes by, he gets sick, and they call Brother Corvinus to take care. Well, we know that at some point they make friends, they are friends, and lots of tragic impediments separating them again to the point that Tassianus no longer talks to Brother Corvinus. At one day, the persecutions escalate all over the Roman Empire, including the city of Lyon. And that's when some Roman patricians decide to talk to Brother Corvinus. He doesn't surrender to their request. They want him to say that he denies Christianity, that he's not Christian. He doesn't do it. He's sacrificed. He's murdered. In the spiritual realm, he's well received by children, by loved ones, by his former spirit mentor Claudius. And Claudius says, now come with us because the next stage is awaiting you, beautiful things. And he says, I can't. I need more time here. I need to reincarnate. He says, okay. If you think so, you were given 100 years after all. He said, yes. Please help me out. Then, year 250, we're going to find Tassianus. That's the second part of the book. Back in Lyon, and on his turn, he found out that his wife was having an affair. Helen. Tassianus and Helen. Helen is having an affair with a man that was sent by her father to take care of the lands. And instead, he goes beyond. He conquers her heart. She doesn't care much about Tassianus anymore because Tassianus is boring for her. She wants the festivities, the social gatherings, extravagances. She's spending enormous sum of money into parties and garments and everything. And now she wants to go back to Rome, but Tassianus doesn't want to go. They have 2 girls. One of them is Lucilia. We're going to talk about her soon. And the other is little Blandina. Blandina is the flower of Tassianus' dreams. He loves her. She loves him. They stay together. She doesn't go with the mother. She stays with the father. Helen goes back to Rome. Tassianus is there, enjoying his time in the little villa of his with his little daughter, Blandina. They are enjoying nature, praying together. And one day, as they are exploring the region, they meet Livia and Basilius. For those who are not here, remember, Basilius was Emmanuel. Yes. No. Quintus Varus was not Emmanuel. Basilius was Emmanuel. Basilius was Emmanuel. Okay, sunshine? Yes. Basilius. So Basilius is this man who was born in Rome. His parents were Greek slaves. He had a wife that died, taking care of his slave owner's wife. Because of the plague, she died. There was a little girl named Livia. She died as well later. But later on, Basilius finds this baby girl nearby, embraces her out of joy, and raises her as his own daughter and names her again Livia. Isn't that amazing? Remember, in 2,000 years ago, Emmanuel, as Publius Lentulus, married to Livia. He adored her. And then, in this life, he is Basilius. He has a daughter named Livia. It's not Livia, but her name is Livia. And when he is adopting this daughter that was abandoned, he names her Livia as well. Well, now we are in the chapter that we are supposed to talk about. So welcome, everyone. Welcome. Dreams and Afflictions. It's chapter 2 of part 2. For us, chapter 9. Chapter 9 is titled Dreams and Afflictions. Let's talk about the dreams first, shall we? Just for a little bit. Why not talking about dreams? We find Basilius with his eyes on the star-packed firmament and enveloped in gentle breezes of the river as he converses with an amazed Tassianus. So Basilius is Christian, but Tassianus doesn't know it. Basilius is very knowledgeable. He's Roman, so he knows everything about the Roman traditions, so he can easily talk about it all. So, life is an impenetrable heavenly secret. We're nothing more than microscopic thinking organisms. Power is a fantasy in the hands of man, just as beauty is a lure in the hearts of women. The world is starving for a living faith in order to be happy. And isn't that exactly what is happening nowadays during this pandemic? The world is starving for a living faith in order to be happy. I do not believe that we're limited to the physical existence, and Olympus must be expanded to meet our aspirations. Basilius was trying to open conversation with Dacianus, and it's important. Emmanuel does not disclose this dialogue just because there are many things for us to boost our discernment. So I'm going to pause for a second. Allow me, please. Allow me to pause for a second to discuss something with you, okay? In Spiritism, we boost our reasoning to really feel this faith through the lenses of our reasoning, worked by reasoning, to make it unshakable. It is important for us to know that we need to think what we believe in. We're supposed to know God and why we love God. If God made us intelligent, why wouldn't we think and reason God Himself? Not God, but I mean the idea of God. We need to think about it. So Spiritism comes to boost our discernment. To boost our discernment, which is very important. To boost our discernment. Discernment, now allow me to bring a little bit of neuroscience. Discernment belongs to the human realm. Discernment cannot happen in the animal kingdom. It's something completely new in the human kingdom. Discernment is something that has everything to do with the maturation of our prefrontal cortex. Inside of our skull, the brain, this part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex. This is the area of judgment, making decisions, decision making, and discernment. Something that is very human, but it's not a given. We need to develop it. How? By exercising it. Spiritism is a beautiful way to exercise this prefrontal cortex. Now you see how Spiritism is helping humanity on earth progress by boosting its discernment. So whenever we're reading these books, we're becoming more discerning. We're developing also our physical brains, our paraspiritual brains, our physical brains. And we carry that experience and that knowledge to immortality. So we're talking about investments in our immortality. Okay? So it's important that we reason life. Right now, this pandemic comes to help us think, what am I doing with my life? Oh my gosh, I'm going to lose everything. I may die. I may get sick. I may not see a loved one anymore. So what is important for me now? So it's asking us to recalibrate ourselves. Here is a dialogue between Basilius and Dacianus that goes hand in hand with the situation we're experiencing nowadays, okay? So let us get some glimpses of it. I would recommend that you read it all in the book, please. But we're going to get some highlights. Basilius is saying that the world is starving for a living faith in order to be happy. But Dacianus interrupted and said, but don't you believe that in order for society to be happy, pure and simple trust in the watch care of the gods are expressed in our ancestral worship is enough? He said, yes, simplicity is also one of the sides of the enigma. However, my dear friend, in our era of immeasurable moral imbalances, the problem of the human being looms large. 2,000 years, less than 2,000 years, go by, and we're still, in many ways, having moral imbalances in our planet as a whole. Maybe not in your household, maybe not in your community, not in your city or your country, but majority of places we have imbalances. The problem of the human being looms large. We are not mere puppets caught in the tentacles of fatalism. We're souls clothed in the garment of the flesh, and we are in transit to a greater life. Pause. We are in transit to the greater life. We are in transit to the greater life. Again, we're in transit to the greater life. Do you feel yourself in this temporary moment, this impermanent moment we're living on earth? Vanessa, I don't want to talk about this. Am I going to die to coronavirus? No. No. We're not talking about this now. We're talking about this everlasting certainty that when we are incarnated, we're here temporarily. We need to meditate deeply. One day we won't be here. And then, how you're going to feel. But not now, no. But what if it is now? We need to be prepared. We need to be prepared. How do we prepare ourselves? First, by contemplating daily that life is impermanent. And second, by instructing ourselves into the understanding about what this greater life is all about. Not because we're focused on the future, not mindful of the present, but to be mindful of the present or in the present, we need to understand why we're here. To make the most of it, right? Remember Martha and Mary in Jesus' time? Jesus was visiting them. He was talking to people. Traditions told that men listened and women prepared the meals and were aside. But Mary decided, Martha's sister, okay? She decided to listen to Jesus, which was not common for the time. Martha looks at her and says, but Master, my sister, instead of helping me, she's there listening to you. I mean, he has to help me. That's the convention of the time. And Jesus surprisingly turns to her and says, but Martha, Martha, who has chosen the best part? Mary is, in my words, okay, working on eternal works. Lesson for us. Right now, in our lives, are we being Martha or Mary? And that's not about giving excuses not to clean, not to cook. Nothing to do with that. We're talking about our way of doing things. Because nowadays we have headphones, earpods. We can connect to something that Jesus is saying while we're cleaning. Martha couldn't do this. She had to choose either or. But we can. But it's not about that. It's about the priorities in life. Are you going to focus on what the world thinks is important or on what is really important? And you bet that if you choose the second, many people will not understand you. Will not. And that's part of life. But Mary was brave. Okay? Our dear Sunshine is asking where will resides in the brain. I would say I don't think scientists have a precise answer to this. Mm-mm. I can't say that science has revealed it yet or found out. Okay? It doesn't. But we know that decision making is processed, modulated, as we say in neuroscience, by the prefrontal cortex. Of course, connected to a complexity of structures, pathways, as we say, neural pathways. But we can't say it's the center of will. Okay? All right, friends? And I know you're talking about dematerializing our lives, and I think that's what Mary did. Mary decided to work with the best part of it all. And what does that mean? Our child is in need of us. We need to work. We need to find balance. We need. Oh, but I need to. I understand. But our children are as important as the money we make for it. But how am I going? I don't know. God will let us know. But we need this balance. We can't focus right now on the material gains. So I'll open another parenthesis here to share something that Mentor Joseph wants us to share. Right now, during this crisis, and it has everything to do with several experiences in the book Hail Christ as well. Many people are focusing on the losses, material losses, and we understand we're talking about survival, but material losses of, in terms of, being physically present in our relationships. And that gives us a sense of grief. But if we keep focusing on this, the temporary material losses during the pandemic, and the fear, we're going to escalate in anguishes, anxiety, depression, and then we're going to start having psychosomatic disorders. By having psychosomatic disorders, we're also dampening the strength of our immune system. And when we do that, we're more susceptible to any infection. So we need to do the reverse. Instead of feeling like I'm losing, I'm here stuck at home, I don't have time for myself. Stop. What have you been gaining with it? What are the pluses? And focus on this. Not only identifying, but go for it. Take your time to do things you wanted to do. Good things. Courses online, projects at home, time with those who have at home, or connecting more with people through social media, phone, emails, messages, enhancing the quality and the pleasure of life. At the end of the day, we're going to feel more joyful, we're going to feel we're gaining, we're no longer going to focus on depressive thoughts that everything is happening and we're losing everything and it's the end of the world. It's not the end of the world, period. That we know for sure. It's not. Okay? So let us dream. Dream with Basilius. Dream with Livia. In their conversation, they are talking about equality. Right now with the pandemic, everybody's equal. Prince Charles got sick because of the coronavirus. Anybody can get sick. There's no I'm going to choose the poor and the sick. No, anyone. at any age. He says it's essential for us to know how to bring out the human dignity inherent in all people. Slave and masters are children of the same Father. Dacianus didn't like it. He was like, equality? How can you equalize the classes without harming our traditions? Basilius, old man, smiled calmly and replied, my son, I'm not referring to equality through violence. We can perhaps achieve necessary balance in our understanding by replacing the words master and slaves by overseers, supervisors, and workers. We need to be more humane to be truly human. We need to be more humane to be truly human. So this is the exercise, one of them we are going to ask all of us to do in the next 24 hours. How can we be more humane? The coronavirus is coming, asking us to be more human. When we are animals, we're afraid. We see our doom because we can't see further. But at human level, we can raise above it all. And we can seek the good. How can we be more humane? To be humans. That's the exercise in the next 24 hours. How can we do it? I need to be more human. It's human beings are about reasoning, not instinct. The difference between the animal kingdom and the human kingdom is that when we get to the human kingdom, we raise above instincts with our discernment, with our reasoning. To be human is to be rational. To be rational, it's about to use our reasoning. And to use our reasoning means that we are seeking the good. We're not reacting. To be human, not to react, but to take action. Animals react. Humans think. Big difference. You see how far we are from our true humanity? Because we're still very instinctive. And what we bring from many lives is called instinctive tendencies. Okay? Nora Brazil is saying that Deepak Chopra had an interesting talk about the brain today. Paraphrasing his talk, cortex, the intellectual reasoning brain for our thinking and insight, 4 million years in human evolution, the human brain responsible for our feelings, 100 million years, and the reptilian brain, etc. You guys can read it later here, but it goes hand in hand with our reasoning. It's amazing that you're reporting this, Nora, because you see the universality of these teachings. I wasn't able to see any of that. And you see how this book is bringing exactly what Deepak Chopra is bringing to us. It's the good spirits working with all of us, boosting in us now the reasoning. And the reasoning doesn't mean feeling. It means that we're going to use our reasoning to manage our feelings. And instead of reacting, we are going to think about it. Like Quintus Varus. His wife was cheating on him. Instinctively, he could go in, kill her, end the affair. That's animal-like. But think, if I do this, that's going to happen. If I do that, the other thing is going to happen. And then I don't. So in the next 24 hours, we need to be more humane to be truly human. The captivity of the senses and the mind is unjust, so that our world can conform to the perfection that awaits us. It is essential for us to have enough courage to reason differently than those who have been leading our collective journey for the past millennia. The conditions of struggle And learning will change completely when we finally realize that we're brothers and sisters. And he's right. Tassianus saw in Basilius almost like the image, the mirror image of Quintus Varus. And he observed that certainly Basilius was somewhat accepting the teachings of the Christ. But he said he didn't want to talk about it. He was so upset about it, he didn't want to go there. So they keep talking about it and talk about reincarnation as the only ways to understand our ways of being. So they made an arrangement, and Tassianus brought Basilius and Livia to live closer in a house near his house, where Basilius would find ample resources to work and to sustain their family. They kept on seeing each other, and Livia would daily be the teacher of Blandina, and of course Tassianus fell in love for Livia. He fell in love. From now on, it's all about romance. Yes, Emmanuel finally gives us a break and brings a little bit of this exchange of the loving hearts. And they start talking, confessing to one another. They see a flock of butterflies and then a nest full of featherless chicks. And then Tassianus, very romantically, how much joy there is in that happy family. And Livia says, yes, nature is always a divine storybook. And he started opening his heart, talking to Livia and saying, Livia, there are times when the more we trust in the gods, the more our heart becomes a maze of unanswered questions. And he's asking, why can those birds be happy and can't I be happy? The young woman was troubled by the loving flame burning in his eyes. She uttered a few monosyllables and tried to change the subject, but Tassianus, encouraged by the involuntary blush on her face, said tenderly, I've always felt that family tradition should guide our sentiments. And then he starts talking about his married life. But he says, in Helen, I didn't find the friend that my soul had hoped for. I did find in her a loving mother for my daughters, and so I resigned myself. And he continues talking about his disappointments in life. And right now he says to her, I think about some stroke of luck that will bring me the joy of getting close to you, of being free enough to offer you what I have. It's not much, I know, but my whole heart would be restored if it could see you happy. I've imagined living a life far from this place, where so many distressing recollections punish my soul. Blandina and your father could come with us, and we would leave everything behind that might alter the rhythm of our happiness. Noticing the affection also in her tearful eyes, he added, we met just a few days ago, but I get the feeling that we are old friends. My wife and elder daughter are very close to each other, and I'll be in Rome for a long time, and will be in Rome for a long time. I don't want to accuse them of being ungrateful, but I have reason to believe that neither of them would miss either Blandina's absence or my own very long. At home we're strange people. And they talk. He continues. What do you have to say about so many and such pain-filled secrets? Now it's Livia's turn. She blushes, and she becomes even more beautiful. But she sadly and simply says, Tatianas, my father often says that souls who could have weaved a perfect marital bliss usually meet late in life. If they are not caught by death that separates them at the height of their joy, irresolvable commitments keep them apart. And then he keeps talking to her. And she says, but you know, I'm also married. And then she reveals to him, I'm married. And he's like, married to whom? Who is he? He's never here. And she tells her story. Being married to Sergius Talianus, actually to Marcellus Volesianus. And they got married. And he's like, oh no. They tell the whole story. I can't tell it all because I can't spoil the fun of you reading the book. But he says here that where is he? He asks, where is he now? And he says, well, he is living his life. He has his own way. They talk to each other, and I'll cut it short because their lives are becoming ever more complicated. As they're exchanging ideas, she's talking about her life, how she's married to a man who doesn't come up with a true married life. She then turns to him and says, he asks, do you believe that happiness can survive in other forms? Do you think you and I could build a new home in a new realm of understanding and happiness? And she says, yes, I do. Your noble, calm dedication is like a beautiful, safe shore that would protect the boat of my destiny from all storms. I love you so much. I realized this the moment we first saw each other. I understand now that Marcellus brought me a little girl's enchantments, whereas in your company I feel the longings of a woman. I couldn't aspire for a higher glory as a woman than to share your sentiments. However, we no longer belong to ourselves. If you want me, he says, and I want you so much, why should we bind ourselves to those who despise us? We will renew our fortunes, we'll be happy, your father will agree. And she says, I don't doubt what you're saying. However, time and sacrifice would change the situation. And then she talks about Blandina. She says, Blandina is someone dear to us, who trusts us. If we behave just like those who hurt us, we might poison her heart forever. She says to him, we will be together. Love above all else is understanding, affection, communion, trust, an expression of the soul that can endure without material commitment. We'll find each other in Blandina. She'll be our loving reference point. The days will pass over us like waves of beauty and hope, and who knows the future, perhaps time. Pause. We need to talk about this. Yes, marriage, separation, divorce. I know, in the Spiritist movement we don't talk about this, right? But it's in the literature. We don't talk about it. And that's the problem. Because we don't talk about it. We have a taboo. It's like, you got married, you better swallow it or else. No. Let's remember here, she's saying, let's stay where we are and wait. They are not talking about having an affair, though they exchange through affection. But now, creating a commotion, they have children. Does it change separating with or without children? It does, but there are times in which children happen. What does Spiritism say? Go to the Gospel according to Spiritism. There's a whole chapter about it, marriage and divorce. And it says to us, It's not a crime, first and foremost. To separate, to be divorced, it's not a crime. A crime is when we live in hypocrisy, hurting each other, creating obstacles for each other's growth, and creating problems that will be detrimental to the kids. So, in the Gospel According to Spiritism, we learn that it's as we call Emmanuel in another book that is not translated yet, Sex and Life. He says, it's like a lesser evil. It's like you need that time apart. In their case, nothing is resolved. Helen didn't call the quits. If he steps towards that, it's going to be a scandal. And that's what we're talking about. The impact on the children. She needs to understand that she's also committed to another man. What do? We have to await the whole scenario to be complete. We're talking about patience. But nowadays, with the high-paced society, we no longer have time to work with patience, right? We quickly jump from one scenario to the next. And at the end of the day, we're hurt. So we certainly need to reflect more on what is the true meaning of love. And I will repeat Livia's words. She says, love, above all else, is understanding, affection, communion, to put something in common, trust, an expression of the soul that can endure without material commitment. It's beyond the material commitment. Reflections for us. We're talking about responsibility, commitment, beyond paperwork. Reflections for us. Chico Xavier used to say, we need a course for people to prepare themselves for marriage. But not this course full of dogmas. You have to do this or else. No. We're talking about working on emotional, social, spiritual dimensions of the couple. But do we raise our kids for such commitments? No longer. We raise our kids to be high achievers professionally, but we don't raise them to be good partners. We don't. Probably because we don't know. But somebody needs to change it. So that's something to dream about. The day we fulfill Chico Xavier's dream to put together a course that will help people prepare themselves for relationships, for their marriages. And it's like continuing education for marriages as well. Because even though you may like each other or love each other and get married, along the way we may find unexpected bumps and not able to overcome them easily and break apart. Food for thought, okay? It's a theme for all of our lives. For those who are single, for those who are married, for those who are remarried, for those who are separated, divorced, who are widowed, for all of us, even for those who departed, it's a theme to be worked out. For now, we get to know that as soon as they are talking about this, leaving Tassianus, who comes in? Blandina. And Basilius is waiting for them anxiously because Livia's husband is back home. Whoa, that's the affliction of the chapter. Tassianus meets Marcellus, and Marcellus is talkative, flamboyant, tempestuous, and Tassianus is listening to him with disguised anger. He's like annoyed by that man who's so talkative. He's 30 years old. He's tall, elegant, beautiful hair, enigmatic face. He kisses his wife joyfully, but he says, I can't stay. I have to go back to Rome. And quickly Tassianus says, don't worry, I'm going to help you. So helpful, right? He writes him a letter of recommendation introducing Marcellus to Claudius Lysias. And he goes away to Rome, and the life in the little villa continues happily. Soon he receives a letter from his wife Helen, who says that she will marry her elder daughter to her uncle just to keep the fortune in the family. He doesn't agree, but what can you do? At some point, a plot is being created against Tassianus because he's no longer too friendly with the man who is now Epiphanes, who is having an affair with his wife. That man is so ignorant that he's so upset with Tassianus, he's now creating a plot against him. He finds out that Basilius and Livia are Christians. What's going to happen next? It's not easy, right, friends? You see that on the behind the scenes of Christianity persecutions, we have personal agendas. Personal agendas. We wish we could understand that on the behind the scenes of many leaders' decisions, of collective decisions, there are so many personal agendas. It's unfortunate, and Emmanuel shows it to us in all of his novels. And this one is no different. Basilius is living a dignified life. Livia as well. And yet, here come the persecutors again, this time to debunk, to avenge Tassianus. And little Blandina is in the way. This chapter talks to us deeply about our dreams and how much in between our dreams and our achievements there are so many obstacles. What to do? But to understand. So this is why we need to practice understanding and broaden our horizon, grasping the input of life, use of our reasoning. So today, we're going to stay firm in the use of our reasoning. What is it to be human? But to use our reasoning to understand what is in between our dreams and our achievements. How to come around, how to understand the frustrations, the impediments, and seek the good always. To be human. Be humane in our true humanity. This is the exercise in the next 24 hours. And you can tailor it to the current scenario. The current scenario tells us about these afflictions. How can we be humane, reason, seek the good, exercise our true humanity during this hour of challenging hours? Shall we, friends? And of course, if you want to spend more time on reflections about romantic relationships, marriage, separation, divorce, etc., please go read the chapter that pertains to it in the Gospel according to Spiritism. And if you have any question, we're here to chat with you in that regard. You're enrolling in the course? Me too, Teresa Castro. Who knows, one day we're going to materialize that course here on earth, right? That doesn't mean we're not going to have our mishaps, but we certainly need much more in humanity. This is a good time during the pandemic to think about these beautiful achievements, the milestones that humanity is going to achieve, okay? Let us pray now, shall we? I have here with me little Earth. Yes, we want to pray for our planet. Let us give our planet all the loving care that we can, the gratitude that we can, right? Let us feel ourselves holding our planet. Feel it. I'm giving it to you so you can hold the planet in your hands. Breathing deeply and out slowly. Visualizing beautiful protective rays of healing light onto it, enveloping all of its inhabitants in loving kindness, consolation, hope, calmness, serenity. Dear Mother, Father God, we visualize with you the beautiful transformation for the better. We pray that our brothers and sisters in humanity feel the blessings of your love, and thus we can more quickly recover from this pandemic. The less fear, the more love. The more love, the less fear. And with you, everything is possible. May all of our homes form a current of healing light, sustaining those around, connecting to one another, making all of our family members feel under your grace, surrounded by your grace, immersed in your grace. Beloved God, we thank you for the opportunity of being here, and we pray that this planet Earth receives from us our deepest gratitude. And for those who are suffering the most, may they feel a loving hug and Mother Mary's words whispering in their ears, "This shall pass, my child. Stay strong and faithful." Breathing your healing air, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts to the opportunity of being here, and so be it. Thank you, friends. Thank you for joining us here at Kardec Radio. We give you a big hug of gratitude. And until tomorrow, in this beautiful story of Hail Christ, teaching us how to be stronger together and ever more humane. A big hug to you, and until tomorrow, God willing, here at Kardec Radio, always, always, always nourishing our souls.